Traditional methods of calculating a student's grade have often been a game of adding up the total number of points for everything a student completes over a period of time. In this model, the final grade was an average of everything the student did from the start to the finish of an entire class, which was often a vague representation of student growth. This lack of accurate communication has created the need for an improved way of calculating student grades to depict the true story of student learning. We know that the learning process is a journey, so we seek to provide students and parents with accurate and ongoing communication. There are 4 main steps in the improved process for calculating grades. Step 1 is for teachers to align assessments to benchmarks. Working together, teachers create summative assessments to evaluate student progress toward the benchmarks taught in a given period. Step number 2 is for the teachers to record benchmark scores. After a student takes a test, the teacher scores the assessment, recording the student's score in the gradebook by each individual benchmark. Over time, students take a number of assessments and receive a number of scores for each of the benchmarks. Step 3 is calculating individual benchmark scores. Our gradebook automatically calculates a benchmark score by averaging the 3 most recent benchmark scores. By emphasizing the most recent evidence of student learning, we acknowledge that what matters most in the process of learning is whether a student ultimately achieves benchmark mastery. Early on in the grading term, if a student has only one benchmark grade, that grade shows up as the overall benchmark score. If the student has only 2 benchmark scores, the 2 scores will be averaged to determine the overall benchmark score. Step 4 involves averaging the benchmark scores to calculate the overall final grade. This last step includes averaging the individual benchmark scores. Remember, each final benchmark grade is an average of the last 3 grades for that benchmark. At any time, students or parents can look at grades. This can be helpful in understanding how a student's learning is progressing. However, to get the most accurate and complete picture of student learning, it is valuable to communicate with the teacher to get detailed feedback on the learning process.